Hey everyone, welcome to Monkey Business. In today's episode, we'll be spoiling Taika Waititi's four most recent movies. So that's going to be spoilers for Hunt for the Wilderpeople, Thor Ragnarok, Jojo Rabbit, and Thor Love and Thunder. If you haven't seen any of those movies and would like to before listening, go ahead and click away now. As always, thanks for listening and we hope you enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Monkey Business. Today, I am Will, obviously, and I'm joined by Warren. Say hi, Warren.
What's up? I will not say
And
hi.
Carter. Say hi. Heyo.
Heyo.
Perfect. And today we are discussing Taika Waititi's phenomenal movie, not to give anything away about how I feel about it or anything at all, The Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Came out in 2016. It's got a great cast, fun storyline, and some beautiful scenery. And really, let me just give you a rundown of the film. So the movie opens with Ricky Baker, an orphan and child delinquent, as so described by his handler, is adopted by Heck and Bella Faulkner. But when Bella dies, things go from bad to worse, and Ricky and Heck must flee into the New Zealand bush for safety. Along the way, they meet two curious characters, Psycho Sam and Kahu, who help them survive and even save the life of a dying ranger. However, after 6 months of dodging out hunters, the army, the police, and Paula Hall, the child welfare officer, the final shootout is at hand. In the aftermath, Heck goes to prison and Ricky is adopted by Kahu and her dad. But finally, once Heck is released from prison, they all have one final meeting and Heck joins their family too. So, first thing I want to talk about is, I'm just going to start out and say it. Do you find this movie funny? Warren?
This may come as a surprise, but yes.
Let's go! No way, you're kidding.
Unbelievable. Wow,
Please tell me you're not lying.
I
No, I'm being
cannot believe
serious.
it.
Let's go! All right. Carter, you find it funny?
Of course, yeah.
All right, me too. Warren, please tell me what you liked about this film in the humor department.
Well, I'll be honest, I was not expecting it because the last couple Taika films I've seen left something to be desired. But yeah, something about this film, it's well done.
Did you, so were you laughing at Paula Hall's character, the child welfare, when she just looks over, it's like he steals things, he runs away, he stomps,
Graffitis.
he claps. Yeah, then she goes, he steals again. Oh, dude.
No child left behind.
Exactly. She's actively hunting him in the helicopters and the tanks and everything like that. Oh.
One of my favorite jokes in the movie is when Ricky is looking back at the house where they find the ranger and he goes, he sees the SWAT team and goes, ninjas, which is funny in its own, but then he sees the then he sees the dogs coming in and he goes, wolves, or like attack wolves or something.
Dire wolves.
Yeah. And then he sees Paula Hall and goes, child welfare. As if it's the most intimidating. It's incredible.
Well, it is. That's the funny thing to him, though, is
because it's all the same level of threatening to him. It's amazing.
Well, I don't think it's that. I do think
Not
that's
really,
where it pulls on the heartstrings too, is that Paula Hall is the worst case scenario for him. Like, he'd rather go to the army, he'd rather get captured by the dogs, he'd rather do all this stuff. But to go back to child welfare, and they set that tone early on, is he mentions Abby the one time, his other friend who was through the foster system and then died, and no one would tell him how or why. And his only other option now is to go to juvie. And he just doesn't want to. And he found a home for him. And what does he love most about the home? Dude, that hot water bottle was probably one of my favorite things to carry throughout the film. Just that little warmth from home, that one little touch where he hugs it at the beginning. Oh, it's a beautiful picture.
What Carter you were talking about, it also goes back to highlight just the journey he's on, because remember at the beginning, he was like trying to go back in the car because he wanted to go back. He didn't want to stay at this house. And they had to basically like pull him out of the car kicking and screaming. So it was a fun journey.
He did the one walk around, right? And then just went, nope, I'm good.
Yeah,
He's holding his phone up, trying to get signal. And then he sees Heck with the wild boar just slung across his shoulders. It's like, Bella told me to come down here and see if you need me to do anything. What do you want me to do, Heck? Stay out of my way. Don't talk to me. Will do. And then he just walks away. Oh, it's such a fun little character too. And man, to see his growth as well throughout the journey. Warren, and then we'll go to Carter. What did you think about how the story was set up? How fast it got into really with like the death and everything, such as that? Did you think the beginning was too fast, or did you enjoy the pacing?
No, I think it was good. I think they did just enough to set up the relationship between Ricky and Bella before she ends up ultimately dying. And then Hector and Ricky are just pushed into this or forced into this situation where they're trying to escape together. But I think to me, the best thing was that even though it's a comedy, the comedy doesn't detract or take away from or limit the narrative.
Yeah, I agree in full. Carter, anything to add to that?
Not really much, except that yeah, I think Ricky and Bella's relationship is really, really sweet, and I think it is. I think it's at least 20 minutes. It might even be a half an hour before she dies, and I think it's uh plenty of time. I think it's super well done. I think you buy it, and it's just you really get by the like 15 minutes in that they have a genuine connection, and that it's just a great thing that they've been brought together. And
And it's really sweet when she's like, "Are you gonna run away? You gonna run away tonight? Just make sure you're back for breakfast tomorrow."
make sure you're back for breakfast.
Dude, that pulled every emotional heartstring in just the right way. That one line of, you can go anywhere, but I'm going to accept you regardless of what you do. For a kid that's right about to go to juvie, if he messes up here, it was. And the performance by Julian Dennison is Ricky Baker. His performance was so believable and so endearing. And I was like, yep, that's what would happen if a 13-year-old kid got lost in the wilderness. He's thinking about toilet paper, he's thinking about real food, but he's also, glorifying this whole experience in his head. I kind of enjoyed the fact that when Bella died, that funeral was kind of funny. I wasn't ready for just another really, really sad scene right after that. I was ready for some relief, and then ready because that prepped me emotionally for the scene right after regarding when Heck, who can't read, but we don't know that yet, gives Ricky the letter and says, "Here, read this." And that's when they figure out that he's going to be taken away unless, right? And that's when Heck starts telling him, like, listen, I really didn't want you. And I know I didn't mention this all in the summary for those of you listening, but Ricky runs away into the bush to live on his own, and Heck has to go find him, and then he hurts his ankle, and then you just time skip 6 weeks. 6 weeks in the New Zealand bush. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. Just you had enough highs and enough lows, but they made sure to set in how important each beat was before anything was allowed to move on. Like they had mini closure along the way.
Yeah, I think with the funeral scene, I I do think that it works, that it's funny, but it works because it's not overbearingly funny. It still has the aura of sadness around it because it's a funeral, but there's just, there's little jokes one here and there and they pop up. And part of it is just Taika, who's the priest, his delivery there. Part of it is just it's cutting back to the empty church with Sam Neill just stone cold and stoic and just appalled that this is happening, which is hilarious. But also like the aftermath of it is the emotional part. That's what you have to grapple with because the death is it's devastating for Heck, of course. And it's for Ricky, it's more of just like a shock. He's been here maybe, a week, it seems, and this is just something that just hit the whole situation that he's had on its head. And so he's just has no clue how to think of this. And so it's hard to make a funeral scene that pulls all the right emotions from the first 20 minutes and puts them into a scene correctly like that. And I think it did well. And the letter afterwards, yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna go kind of the opposite direction. I think
yeah.
the funeral scene worked in a lighthearted way because the scene before is the one that was heavy emotionally. When Hector finds his wife dead, like that's the heavy emotional scene, and then the funeral's after that. And so you've already gone through that, and so the funeral can be more lighthearted.
Yeah, but I think the death scene is pretty quick, and I think it drags that feeling with it to the very next scene, which is the funeral scene, in my opinion. And it's just comedy poking through that darkness, I think.
For me, Carter, definitely see what you're saying, but I am here with Warren.
Okay.
I because right after that, you have another, in my opinion, very heart-wrenching scene where he puts her ashes into a box and he says, "This is what happens. You live, you die, and then you just go back into a box. You're just in another box." And he closes it like he's closing off her stuff. He's immediately shutting himself off to any emotion. But Ricky refuses to do that. And he wants to believe in this story she's told, because before Bella died, she said, "When I die, I'm going to go up to that big lake before I go to the next place," right? The big lake that almost touches heaven. And if Ricky probably wanted to take a step back in 5 years and analyze that statement, he probably could have seen, oh, well, yeah, she's making up a wonderful tale of what she believes the afterlife is like, to kind of put herself at ease for whatever may come in the future. But to him, with her, who's just shown this immediate warmth and kindness, welcoming spirit, and pursuit of him as well, he's just like, I'm not letting her be in this box. I'm not going to do it. And that's where he comes into his own as just, whether I die, I die, because it's either the Bush or Juvie, and for him, he chooses Juvie. But Warren, yeah, I agree with
He
the
chooses
progression in my head.
he chooses not Juvie.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah, yes, he chooses not Juvie, he chooses Bush. Let's see here. What else did I want? Camera work. What did you guys think about it? I noticed there were a lot of slow zooms onto characters while they're talking, just slowly inching in on the face. I really kind of enjoyed that. I don't know why, it just kind of made me feel immersed in the film. And then I just loved the scenery. Like when him and Kahu are riding on the horse through the New Zealand outback, it just looks fantastic. Even where their little farm is, just beautiful. And the jungle is dense, and yeah.
Jungle. It's not the jungle. It's the
Does New
bush.
Zealand have outback, or is that just Australia?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
I think it has Outback. I'm pretty sure it has Outback.
Back to your question though. Back to your question though. And I know if I've talked to Carter about this before. So Carter, you know how much I love cameras that pan or spin in 360 degrees.
Uh-huh.
You know, I love those shots where like it's panning to the right and then it's showing the character again and then panning
Yeah.
to the those were great.
Those were phenomenal. There's a really long one towards the end where it just
With
sits
like
in
the
one place and
police.
just circle. Yeah, with the
Yeah, that
police
was great. Yeah.
that come after them. That was really good. The camera work it's nifty in this. I really, really enjoy it. And a lot of it is just because it's totally practical. They go out and they see where they can put it in the woods, and they see what they can do with their environment.
He used
There's
every
some
penny of his budget. Yeah.
there's some great drone shots,
Yeah.
but they're not excessive. Um, just like every shot is a different angle. It's so interesting, so fast. There's a couple of zooms. There's not too many, I don't think, but there's a
It didn't go far, just a few slow ones in. That was it.
okay. Yeah, it might have been. A few zoom outs too for comedy purposes, which were great. The zoom is like it's a dying shot, which is really sad because it's one of the most effective, in my opinion. Absolutely one of the most effective. And it's just not something that a lot of blockbusters use nowadays because it's not something that a lot of blockbusters get to a point where they need to use one, which is also a problem. But
Zooming in, zooming out, or both?
both, either, really, especially zooming in.
Okay.
Oh, real quick, just to give you a perspective of how awesome this movie is. It was all filmed in New Zealand, and it was filmed on a budget. Are you ready for this? Of $2.5 million US.
That's awesome because I'm
That's
pretty sure
Yeah.
it's a New Zealand Film Institute
Yeah,
movie or something.
it
Yeah,
is.
so
The
it's
majority of
from
the
New,
budget
you
came
know,
from them.
yeah, they just sponsored this guy and said go make a comedy movie.
Well, you're talking about getting the most out of your budget. And I mean, if you're going to have drone shots, if you're in New Zealand, I mean, you're going to get your money's worth.
Oh my
Lord of the
gosh,
Rings.
yes.
Great
I also
scenery.
just thought it was cool that to us, it's like they're going on this long, crazy trip. And for them, they probably walked a couple 100 feet, got a new shot, a couple 100 feet, got a new shot, and walked back, Probably not correct, but I thought that was really funny. And because so many of the characters are in full SWAT gear and stuff, you can just reuse them hither and yon as well. There's a lot of little places in here to save on money. I just, yeah, it, Warren, oh, I wanted to ask both of you thoughts on the three hunters. Go.
Is there a reason why the one guy was always wearing shorts?
Dude, I thought that too while watching. I was like, wait a second. Why is he wearing shorts in the bush? No one is. No, I have no idea. But did you like them? What would you think? Were they funny, good relief, or did they add any tension, or was it always just comedy?
I mean, they added a little comic relief.
For me, that's like my only complaint. I really don't find them that funny, and I don't find it tense at all. They're really just there so they can scare Ricky at the end, so he shoots Hector, which is pretty funny. So that's
Yeah,
they
it's
get one funny
hilarious.
moment out of him, but I don't know.
Well, then there's that moment where they asked the hunters what the reward was for finding them. And they're like 10K. Like, let me know what is 20K.
Uh-huh. So it's just something to keep the story going forward at like 3 points in the
Okay.
story.
It's said they could kind of feel the pressure without having to interact with child welfare.
Maybe.
Keeping that as like the ultimate big boss.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ninjas, direwolves, child welfare.
I'm gonna talk about my favorite character real quick, and it is Kahu's dad. I find him so funny. Like, oh, what's up,
Yeah.
man? Can I get some
It's like,
selfies?
yo,
Oh, you captured
you're the
me.
kid. You're Ricky Baker. Ricky Baker in my house.
He's like, the guys are gonna go crazy over this. It's just so endearing that they're like, nah, we probably know that this kid is fine with Heck and he just doesn't want to be with anybody else, and they're all trying to hunt him and he might think it's funny. Yeah, no, that's cool. We're not gonna help you. Would you like a sausage? Gets offered sausages what 3-4 times? It's hilarious,
Can you
man.
take a selfie of us?
Exactly. His daughter, Kahu, is hilarious.
It's not a selfie if I take it of you.
Man, who are your guys' favorite characters?
I'm not sure. I have to think about this for a minute. What do you think,
Okay.
Carter?
It's hard to say. I don't know if I have one that really stands out above the rest. They all work together.
I think it probably has to be Ricky.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's got to be either Ricky or Hector.
Comedically, I'd say Ricky, and overall, I might say Hector though, just not comedically. Hard to say.
That's fair. That's fair.
Kurt and I are both straddling the fence.
Exactly. I'm
It's
out
because
here like, bam, this side character, favorite.
it's a duo movie, It's a movie about, two partners in crime, and so it's
Yep.
difficult to pick one over the other because they're not the same without them together. That's what makes them the characters that they are.
I think that's one of the things I like the most about the movie. It's just how much of a contrast there is between the two of them in so many different ways. And that just, whether it's comedically or for the narrative, it works so well. He's super old, Ricky's super young, and like Ricky's full of imagination, and Hector's always being practical and the realist. And yeah, the contrast between them is great.
Up next, I guess I wanted to discuss as well thoughts on Ricky's love of reading and the use of the haikus throughout the film. I thought it was a great little way of adding one extra bit of character to Ricky. And then the final payoff with Heck giving him a haiku to help him explain his feelings, because that's why Ricky says he does it.
Mhm.
And when they go into the hut that the ranger's in, what does Ricky do? He's looking for different books to read, and then Heck takes that while he's in prison to learn to read himself, and he's practicing. And I just thought it was one of those what the young taught the old, where Heck made sure he lived, right? He survived, and then Ricky taught Heck how to feel again, and then how to talk through his emotions.
Yeah, great. Loved it. I agree. I agree with you 100%. think it's just a wonderful thing that they added in there that carried through the entire movie. Really well done.
Do you think that Dennis wrote all those haikus, or do you think Taika sat down and was just like, it's like, I wonder what these haikus are. I don't know, but I thought it was great. Okay, so did you guys find yourself at any point caring, doubting, believing the ability of Heck and or suspending belief that Heck and Ricky could live this long in the bush or go this far in the bush with their minor preparations and all that stuff while raiding these cabins? Was that ever a problem for you during the viewing experience, or nah, just we're along for the ride?
Not really. I mean, did you see Bella just take on the what was it, a pig or a warthog or something? Just
Boar,
leap
yeah.
down there with a knife. Yeah.
Dude, and then she just like wipes her face with the bloody hand going, dinner. It's so funny, man. And when she's skinning the rabbit with him too, he's like, here, you want to try? Or something else? Yes, please. Just slaps the quail in front of him. This is how you do it, and you put it in that bag over there.
I think it might have been an issue for me if it had just been Ricky like going off and not knowing anything and surviving for a while. But clearly Hector is very experienced and a good teacher.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a problem with it at all. No.
Yeah, Ricky was losing it. He was dreaming of food before Hector showed up.
Oh, dude, that was
That's
so
great.
funny.
Uh-huh.
And then it's his dog, Tupac.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Tupac. I want to call him something gangster, like Tupac. Who's Tupac? And then later he says, like, I want to die in a drive-by or something. Amazing stuff. But yeah, one of the funniest moments in the movie for me was when Hector jumped onto the boar because he was up on the ledge, just drew his knife, and then it's like a half a second shot of him just fully laying out on this thing, and it's just makes me crack.
And then you get like
cracks me up.
the scream shots of just the hand holding the knife.
Uh-huh.
Yep. But then it's followed by just that hurt, man. Zig, wasn't it?
Zag.
Zag. Okay. But like Zag, when Zag, and they show the cut too in his belly. I didn't think they were going to, but you're just looking at it going, oh, that dog is gone. And then Heck asks or telling Ricky to give him the gun, and Ricky knows what's gonna happen. He's like, no, you're not gonna shoot the dog, and then he takes it from him. He's like, walk away. And I think other movies would cheapen it or cheapen the emotions by having a storyline in there of saving the dog, rescuing the dog, nursing it back up. But there is just that we are on the run. We can't do this. We don't have the medicine. This dog will just hurt more or be injured more. We'll get infected, all that stuff if we don't just solve this now. And then Ricky just walks away, hears the gunshot, and keeps walking. And it's part of that growth for him of just listening to Heck, because Heck's been the one to help him survive, and he also emotionally knows that at this point Heck just is probably at the end of whatever rope he's using to keep going, right? Yeah, that scene hurt a little bit. And then where the etching in the stones, do you know what I'm talking about, where they make the little makeshift grave, and then Heck has to ask what it says.
What's it say? It says Zag.
That was also a great narrative decision because, like for Hector, he lost Bella and now he was a Zag. And so Ricky becomes that much more important to him because he's basically the only family that he has left.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an emotional moment. Yeah.
Oh, dude. And then when they're at the waterfall as well.
Yeah, the next scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Heck is throwing away or like throwing her ashes into there. And it's one of like the first times he looks at Heck and actually or he looks at Ricky, that Heck looks at Ricky and really thanks him for something, really gives him a little bit of praise.
Well, before that, Hector is just, kind of sad and downtrodden. And then Ricky just walks up. He's been carrying the ashes this whole time. Yeah. And then just to see how much it meant to Hector, even though he wouldn't admit it out loud, you could just see how much it meant to him.
Mm-hmm. Because after he's thrown away all the ashes, he just kind of looks up at Ricky, thanks Ricky, and then as they're walking away, one of those really tender lines that stood out to me was, I guess she was with us the whole time. Because previously he had said Bella would have loved this adventure. and then Ricky brings the box. He's like, I guess she was here the whole time. And it's just, oh man, it's one of those feel good hurts though, because he's now growing to love Hector and you're happy for Hector, but it is in the midst of the wife's death and Zag's death and his issues with he has a quick temper and all this stuff as well. And oh man, good scenes. Psycho Sam. Thoughts, opinions?
The Bushman.
Man Bush.
Just a great introduction. He's like,
Someone's
is
bush
that
camping
bush
a
over
little
there
too
moving?
much.
Little Fortnite reference.
But
But just another example of how well this movie does at not getting stuck in the mud. Because the whole middle section of this movie could have got really repetitive, really boring. But they keep throwing in obstacles. They keep bringing up stuff, introducing new characters. The hunters are a bit of a miss for me, but like Psycho Sam is just such a enters in the last 45 minutes or so and just kicks new life into it once again, and it's just in the funniest ways.
Here, where are
You
these
know,
metal helmets?
uh-huh. Where
Why is
these?
he
He's like,
called
why is he called
Psycho?
Psycho Sam? Here, put these on. Never mind. And then he
the
talks
clock
about
lights? Where he says,
Uh-huh.
oh, I haven't fixed that yet.
Pulls a truck out of nowhere,
So
and then
quick, there's a
goes,
tunnel through here. Oh wait, I haven't built
I
it
haven't dug it yet.
Man.
Yeah.
And then when he's charging the phone as well, he's like, what'd you do? Because Ricky knew, and that's why he didn't ever get it charged. I was like,
Yep.
I was wondering when that was going to pay off, when that setup was going to pay off. And then I was like, right there. I was, no, they've tracked him.
Great.
But in that same, okay, but sorry, to flashback earlier, before Heck praises or thanks Ricky at the waterfall, there's one other time where Heck gives his approval to Ricky. And it's after Ricky dropped the ball and didn't get back to the Ranger's hut in time. And so Heck had to ditch, right? And Ricky goes, think like Heck. What would Heck do? And he says, find water and go north, right? Or it's a find water and then go up and follow it until you get high enough to see what the heck is going on.
Yep. And
so
don't
then
get
he
naked.
does that and don't get naked. Yes. And then you see just the whole like bad disguises he does in the bush as well, like the
Yeah.
just putting two leaves in front of his face. To be fair, I didn't pick him out in some of those spots before they revealed him because
that was a crash zoom, so it's like it was super in the distance, and then you're focused on the SWAT team that are close. So
I know, but it was still like, wow, he really could lose himself in there if you're not looking for him.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. And then he's finally going through all those things. He cooks food on his own. He makes camp on his own. He avoids detection on his own. It's a payoff of all the months that they've been searching, right? It proves that he's learned and that Heck's a good teacher. And then he gets to the top of the bottom of the hill, looks up, sees Heck, and Heck just gives him that man nod, the fatherly nod of well done. And then Ricky smiles and they go off together. So good.
So one of the things that I really liked about the movie was, so you know how they had the like, they're not title slides, but they had like the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were like 10 or 11 chapters altogether.
10 and an epilogue.
Yeah. I think that might be one of the reasons why I liked it so much, is because it's almost formatted like a TV show, which obviously is the superior format, but there was like 10 mini story arcs within the overall arc. So I really like that.
Yeah, it was good. And there were jokes in there too, which is just another layer of comedy. Brilliant stuff.
It just was a really well thought out plan, right? It is, we're going to shoot here with the overall direction of the film to be this, and the minor antagonists and helpers along the way are here, here, and here in order to keep the movie running. They don't add in anything that really shouldn't be there. The runtime is an hour 40, including credits. Yeah, and every one of those story beats really just, kind of also put my head into, oh, well, this is probably something that's going to come up. Just great storytelling. It was really good use of not only what you can shoot on or shoot with the camera, but also what you can add at post shooting as well.
Yeah, and it was good because you got to plan your shot. You got to know where your credits are. You got to measure stuff, and every title shot was in the same place, so you got to know that it's going to be there, and then you got to plan for that. And it worked. They did well,
Yeah.
except for 10 when it cut to black and just said Chapter 10, War. Hilarious.
I thought that was perfect. I
So
loved it,
funny.
man.
Yeah.
Because I knew something was gonna happen, but it wasn't good. It was gonna be shot dramatically, but it wasn't gonna be as dramatic as I thought it was gonna be.
hmm
Oh man, it's such a good payoff, dude. You keep moving, I'll shoot you. Give me the gun. Oh, dude, and just the way that Heck reacts to being called a pervert the entire film just makes him see red. Oh, and it's their final bargaining chip because Heck is just like, I'm done with this and I'm done with the kid, right? I'm sick of all this stuff. And Ricky's like, you're the only family I have left, so I'm gonna blackmail you into doing by calling you a molesterer in front of the army, the child services, and the 300 dudes, and that one police officer who saved the day.
Police officer without a gun.
Yes, she needed real police officers.
Anyway, what was the joke? Like his taser was charging or something?
His taser was it was booked in another city. So they have like a taser that goes around and has to get borrowed on certain assignments by certain people.
That's how low crime New Zealand was at the time, I guess. Oh, love it.
It's part of their library system.
Just check it out. Everyone gets one.
I think it's just how low crime they are.
Yeah. Just kudos to them. It's awesome. Oh, and then Ricky's crush when he sees Kahu and she just does the hair whip thing and it's so funny. And it's because she's offering him sausages, toilet paper, a place to sleep. He's just like, I'm in love. Hilarious, man. My mom's working her shift at the diner and my dad's out back. Is that Ricky Baker? Ricky Baker in my house. Oh, and then he's also infatuated with her because what does Bella say to him? No one can ride those horses. Those horses are too wild. But who's riding the horse?
hmm
Kahu. A little bit of a payoff there.
Can we shoot the horses?
I'll give you one guess as to what my answer is going to be. Oh, and then when Ricky asks Bella, can we not do this? Can we not skin animals right now? And she just goes, well, let me think of something else. And then the next scene they're walking around, he's got a rifle. I'm like, that's not bad. This is a good something else. Get out of chores, go shoot guns. Best mom ever.
I also loved how like the last thing that the child welfare people said before they left was like, oh, is that a gun there? Like, just make sure that's always locked up. And then like a day later, he's out shooting.
Oh man. Paula Hall's character was awesome as just this crazed child welfare officer lady on the hunt, and they made it a national affair as well.
She's the
Child left
Terminator.
behind. He'll know what that means.
And then even when all the characters kind of voices out, I was like, how long are we gonna keep chasing this kid through the New Zealand bush? Because they're chasing him for they're chasing him for 5 months because they've been missing for 1.5. So it's just like, are we really gonna spend all this police budget and army budget and everything to just try and find these two people who might be dead? And she's just got this without a doubt in my mind. That's what I'm gonna die doing.
Well, they keep popping up, so they keep getting confirmation that they're not dead, so they keep on the hunt.
I think maybe my favorite part of the movie was the like radio or TV broadcaster, whoever it was. He was just out there in the woods. He's like, one man alone. Well, 2 men alone, but
there's just so many good beats, but they're also presented in a way that I could see somebody just conversationally saying these lines and them being funny, right? It's not forced humor, it's natural. And I love that about this film, man.
hmm So one thing we were discussing, and one thing we all saw in theaters this summer was Thor: Love and Thunder, Taika's
boy.
latest movie. And we all had a somewhat negative opinion on it, ranging from
That's
Yep.
what I'm gonna put it.
mildly negative to extremely negative.
Yup.
And most of the general population was kind of in that boat as well, more towards the mild negative, but there were plenty of extreme negatives in there too, and I think it's absolutely deserved because I think, in my personal opinion, I would love to hear your thoughts, and I will hear your thoughts, but I think that Ragnarok was possibly the beginning of the end for Taika Waititi. I think that that might have been his downfall. And
Shots
as a
fired.
disclaimer, I really, really like Ragnarok. It's it might be my second favorite of his films, but I think just something clicked in him and he started to change the way he made films. And I think that carried over to Jojo Rabbit, and I think that absolutely carried over to Love and Thunder, where it was just a train wreck. It's one of the worst of the year so far, and it's not going to be dethroned anytime soon. Will, you said you've seen four Taika Waititi movies. Warren, you've seen at least three. Where do you
I
guys want
mean,
to chip in?
I was pretty low on Ragnarok compared to most people,
Hmm.
so I wasn't too surprised when I didn't like Love and Thunder. I think I don't know. I mean, this is my favorite Taika film, so I don't know.
Awesome.
I didn't really like either of his MCU movies, so I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about him.
I'm in the don't give this man a budget over $25 million. Um, Now he did amazing things with Ragnarok, but he really shines in pretty isolated locations as far as Jojo Rabbit and Hunt for the Wilderpeople go, where he takes one location, exploits it to the best of his abilities, and has setups and payoffs that hit close to home. And I see a lot of honestly, I just see Ragnarok now as another version of Hunt for the Wilderpeople, where Thor
What?
is where Thor is this character who's just been hurt over and over and over again, right? With comedic bursts in between. I see the same exact comedy style in there, and kind of a lot of the same exact story beats as well, where it's like, all right, here and 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 here. I love the formula. I'm not going to put it down at all. I think it's great, and I thoroughly enjoyed the comedy and the timing and the spacing of all the jokes and all the action. But I did think that Jojo Rabbit stood out more as a unique film from either of these two, and really just offered another side of his abilities, where the first half of the movie has a very whimsical feel to it, and there are a lot of jokes, and you have, of course, imaginary Adolf Hitler as Jojo Betzler's best friend. And so that there are no spoilers for Jojo Rabbit, but if you think there are, skip ahead about like 2 minutes or so, like just so you don't hear anything. When that tone change happens halfway through the movie, he really steps into his own with this more somber tale dealing with a child growing up in these hard times without certain parent figures around and available to help him grow, all surrounding the young Jewish girl who's hiding out in the house as well. And he crafts two sides of the same coin, right? Expertly. I love that film. But to me, Ragnarok was just him adopting the Hunt for the Wilderpeople formula again and executing it very well inside of Marvel. But then Thor: Love and Thunder just fell so far flat for me, and I don't think I laughed once. I remember disassociating myself from the film the entire time, not enjoying myself, being very upset with how these characters who had so much opportunity for growth or storytelling or just nuance were just tokenism and boring. It totally fall flat. But I'd say that's more off for Taika Waititi in Love and Thunder than it was a statement of who he is. I do think he can just go back to his roots and pull magic out of a hat again. And I really can't wait. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, especially because of Hope. I really hope I see more stuff like Hunt for the Wilderpeople and Jojo Rabbit, these small, unique stories, but I'm not sure.
Speaking of hope, so I hear it sounds like you're looking forward to the Star Wars movie that he's gonna make.
Well, when he asked Natalie Portman, he asked Natalie Portman, "Hey, you want to start a Star Wars film that I'm making?" And to which she responded, "Bro, come on, man, you can't be serious." Well, on the set of Love and Thunder. So, well, yeah,
Hey,
I don't
everyone has
know.
to start somewhere, right?
Maybe it'll be a completely original storyline without the Force, without the rebels, just on some planet, bunch of aliens having fun.
Like Arrakis.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, yes, Dune 2, directed by Taika Waititi.
Oh boy. Let's
I
not
think
get
if
too
he ever
crazy.
gets his hands on a Star Wars movie, I think it would be a disaster. I think he's just not right for that kind of
It's
that
hard
kind
to
of movie,
imagine. I
that
think
kind of
I'm with
feel.
you.
He's also I
Yeah.
don't know if this is going to come to fruition. I don't think it will, but there's been talks that he's going to make a live action adaptation of Akira, which would also be a disaster if he ever gets his hands on because I don't think anyone can do that, let alone Taika Waititi. As Will said, yeah, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I always want to. For nearly every director, there's a few exceptions, but they are few and far in between. And Taika is not on that list. I will go see anything he makes. I just really think that unless he does a 180, that he's on a dangerous path towards becoming a mediocre director that isn't even funny anymore, which is sad because I think his first three big movies are really really well done. But I think a major problem is because he made What We Do in the Shadows in 2014. He made this in 2016, and then he went to Marvel in 2017, made Thor Ragnarok, and they needed a wrecking ball for Thor at that point in time. And he was that wrecking ball. He gave it to them. He just infused that movie with his insanity and his style of comedy, and it worked really, really well. I think he then wanted to come down from that and try to distance him, not really distance himself, but show that he is this incredible artsy director when he made Jojo Rabbit. And I think that he fell on his face doing that. I think it's extremely unfunny and it lacks any kind of emotion. I know that I'm in the minority in this opinion, and I understand that, and that's cool if you like it really, but I get nothing out of that movie, and I really dislike it, unfortunately. And I think Love and Thunder is his attempts to redo Thor Ragnarok in a sense. It Marvel kind of put him in a corner, maybe, and they said, "Look, you did this once. It was a huge hit. It made lots of money because maybe just by word of mouth, even because it was hilarious. People went to see it. They wanted a comedy. People want comedies. They want to laugh, and it's just lacking in Love and Thunder. Unfortunately, there's just nothing there, nothing of substance, and he's putting out a movie next year. It's about like soccer or something. So hopefully that one works out. Hopefully he's back, but we'll see. I think he works best. I think he's similar to Edgar Wright. I think he works best when he's just trying to stay not necessarily small, but simple. He's got what he has to work with, and he's got to be innovative, and he's got to be ahead of the curve. And he was for a decent amount of time. And then he started getting cast and stuff like Free Guy, and that's um that's sign number one that you're no longer ahead of the curve. But he is just an inherently funny person. And if left to his own, not necessarily to his own, but given some checks and balances, given a team to work with, he can, as proven by, a few movies he's made, can he can make some magic. And I hope he turns his career around.
I'd agree. I think he has to be reined in just a little bit, have a few directional pointers, and then perfect. I am sorry to hear about Jojo Rabbit, but hey, man, to each his own. At least we all like this movie, right? So,
Mhm.
Taika, you're doing pretty good, man.
Quick
If you ever
tangent.
if you want to be on the show, let us know.
Quick tangent. Is Taika? Does he cameo in every one of his movies?
Pretty sure, yeah.
I I don't think it's like I don't think it's like a Hitchcock kind of thing where he like cameos in all his movies. He's just an actor. He's just a performer, so he just jumps in, you know? Like this is his most cameo role because in the Thor movies he's Korg. In What We Do in the Shadows, he's like the number two character in that. And in
Jojo
Jojo
Rabbit,
Rabbit,
yeah.
he plays
Okay.
Hitler. So he's just, an actor, writer, director, you know, triple threat.
Okay.
And he's good at what he does.
He's a guy boss building his method directing empire. Um, Oh, real quick. So Thor Ragnarok's budget was 180 million and it grossed $854 million.
That's domestic, right?
Yeah.
So that's
And
not
Or
even
they made a lot more.
international.
Yeah.
no, okay, maybe. I'm not entirely
I
sure.
think I made $1 billion.
But Thor Love and Thunder was 250 million, so 70 mil more. And its current box office is 760 million. So pretty steep decline in terms of multipliers and all that. And yeah, I think it's just because of the quality of film. People went and out of hype saw it once, but didn't see it again. And that's where you're missing that extra bump up. But he's funny, man. Taika Waititi he's got when he's on his comedic timing, it's exceptional. He understands story beats and just when to allow the audience to laugh, but also when to make them cry. Perfect. It's great. Warren, have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
I have not.
Okay.
Also, so domestic was 315 million, international was 535 million. So it was 850 million
Okay.
worldwide.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
still quite impressive.
Yeah.
Very. I think another reason, I think two other reasons for that, a small one, is because the action, I think, there are like 4 or 5 action scenes in Ragnarok that are just like super creative and just memorable. It's like the first movie, aside from maybe Age of Ultron, maybe, that uses like Mjolnir in a creative way, in an interesting way during the action scenes, which is pretty sweet to see. And then there's um, the one in the middle where he fights Hulk, of course, which is really well done. Big old Coliseum match. And then at the end, of course, with, the lightning and the Led Zeppelin, and he just brings it all home. It's awesome. And there isn't a single memorable action scene in Love and Thunder. There's one where like
Well,
he's
maybe,
throwing a lightning bolt around,
I mean,
and
with
there's
all
one
the
that's super
kids fighting, I think that's memorable, just
not in a
not
good
in
way
yeah,
though.
not in a good way.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. And like the stuff with the hammer in that movie is so stupid, and
Yes.
it's unbelievably unfunny, and it's just not something you really want to return to. Not something that gets you going as much. And they try to play like they try to make it like a Guns N' Roses thing
yeah.
in the way that Ragnarok was a Led Zeppelin thing, and it again just falls on its face because it's just trying to recapture the magic of Ragnarok, which it couldn't do.
I
The
agree.
other factor, which is the bigger factor, is because Ragnarok was leading up into Infinity War, and Thor: Love and Thunder is stuck in the middle of Multiverse of Madness and Wakanda Forever, and so it's just kind of dead in the water there. It really doesn't have anything of importance surrounding it or anything of importance leading up to it.
Yeah, I can see that. For me though, it is just when I heard that Jane Foster was coming back to be this role, I went and I read Unworthy Thor
Oh,
into
she's such a
Mighty
great character
Thor.
in the comics. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's a beautifully crafted storyline that has a very hard ending because of
Yeah.
the character that Jane Foster portrays. But there was so much source material there to at least guide, in my opinion. I was just upset that they butchered such a well-written, well-rounded character such as Jane Foster. Like the possibilities for Mighty Thor and how she acts and what makes her unique and creative and powerful and strong is so wrapped up in nuance and in lore and in kindness. And the God Butcher is such this in Unworthy Thor, the God Butcher's kind of backed here, and you had a chance to introduce what's his name, and they didn't. Makes me mad.
Oh, Better
Or
Ray Bill.
they could have introduced Beta Ray Bill with the multiverse, and I would have flipped, man. But no, they had to make a D
Well,
tier movie.
on top of all that, like Jane Foster in the movie was just such a boring character. It was, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Muffin Thunder, so let's switch gears.
But there's the there's the sense that it's like maybe Taika Waititi isn't really the one to direct the Mighty Thor character. And even if he was, because we know he can do emotion, it's not super deep emotion, it's not super thought-provoking emotion, but it's there, it gets to you, it hits you, it's important, I
And
think.
it wasn't this movie, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing though, that's just a Marvel problem. They can't really develop characters in the way where there's an extremely sad ending. All of the characters have to just retire and be replaced. And sure, Jane Foster dies in Love and Thunder, but there's just no way to it. There's just no meaning to anything in that movie.
I disagree with what you're saying about it being a Marvel problem. I think it was just poorly done in that
Maybe.
movie.
I just don't think Marvel ever really allows for emotional depth, especially when it's leaning towards a sadder storyline.
Well, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by Wakanda Forever in November. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that'll have a lot of emotional depth.
Bro,
Because
I
someone
hope so,
died in
man.
real life, I am eagerly awaiting Wakanda Forever. I hope it's good. I truly do.
Me too. I'm kind of worried about it, but
Yeah, I'm worried.
oh man, they've got so many characters in here now. We can have Secret Wars. Oh, it'd be so cool. We just need a good Fantastic Four movie, and then we're off to the races. Oh, and we need a new Captain America for Secret Wars too, don't we? And we need a new Iron Man for. Oh well, maybe Secret Wars isn't happening. Everybody, my bad.
Hey, we already have a new Captain America and we're about to have a new, essentially, Iron Man replacement.
Riri Williams is announced.
Yeah, she's going to be in
What?
Wakanda Forever.
Is she actually?
Yes, she's in the trailer.
Well, I hope I like her more than her comic book character, because gosh, that character's kind of boring,
Hey,
man.
I like her comic book character.
Really? Okay, well that makes one of us. But I would really like Ironheart to be done well.
Agreed.
Wow, that I am rooting for this movie a lot. I hope it delivers, but they have set some high expectations with. Wow, I did not know they were introducing Ironheart already. They're not giving her her own film.
She's going to have a Disney Plus series eventually.
Okay, fine. That's something. I'll actually probably
Ugh.
watch that one, to be completely fair,
Mhm.
because I saw what they did to Miss Marvel. Hard light instead of just stretchy ability. How dare they? Let's just change the character while we're at it.
Well, I actually do think that works better visually. And also, especially since they're about to introduce Reed Richards, you kind of have to have something that differentiates. I mean, I wouldn't have had a problem if they kept it, but I didn't mind it that much. Anyways.
Okay. Oh,
We're
yeah.
Get back on topic.
So I guess real quick then, stakes, right? Stakes in films. Yeah, for Marvel, I don't feel anything, but I do feel the stakes in this one, even if
Like
they're not the
medium or
stakes
well
that are
done or rare or
oh, dude, I'm a rare to medium rare at most on any day. But I think this movie sets forth stakes that are manageable, well contained.
it still sounds like
And
you're talking about food.
Fair, but Hunt for the Wilderpeople. I think you have stakes in the film, like the livelihood of the dogs, whether or not they're going to get caught, not necessarily killed or put into prison or anything like that, but whether or not they'll get caught and whether or not they'll reconcile and whether or not Heck will love Ricky. Right. I think that those are set forward really well. And those small ones that mean a lot to me as a viewer, right? Levels of acceptance. Just, would I get caught doing this? Or it's like, could I survive out here with this guy? Would I want my pet to die? Something like that. And it's just, yeah, I was never really fearful for Heck and Ricky living, but for the dogs that were there, that could go either way. And it did go either way and just hurt enough to be considered just well done. But in a lot of other films, especially in Taika's bigger budget one, Thor Love and Thunder, that is not executed on at all. I do not care that a character is going to die. I do not care that a character has lost something. I do not care that characters are found. I do not care that characters reconcile, because nothing is earned. But in this film, the journeys are earned through dialogue, through action, through visual intent as well. And like all that's set forward by lighting, by camera angles, by motivation, by things said and things unsaid, tropes passed from one character to another, and the originality of all parties mixes together to create something beautiful. But Thor Love and Thunder is just a character here with a character here, creates plot point here, and no life in it at all. That was probably a really roundabout way to say a few things, but
yeah, I agree.
do you guys have anything else you want to add to this film, or should we get into the ratings?
I think that's it for me. We can go for it if
Alright.
you're ready.
All right. let's see. I don't know how the tradition goes, but I'll start.
No, Will,
No,
you
you're
have to
last.
end.
Oh, I'm last. I'm last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Carter, me or you? Who's going first? Carter, how about you go first?
Okay, I will go first.
Okay.
Um, big fan of this movie. I think it's easily Taika's best. So much fun, so funny, and a lot of heart too. Just a great story about finding family and second chances and stuff. And it's just a decent movie that has the message of everyone has value, everyone has something special to offer to the world, even when they're seen by society as a juvenile delinquent or something like that. So, big fan of this one. I think everyone should watch it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Awesome.
Okay.
Warren?
I also agree this is my favorite Taika film. It's a simple story, but executed very well. Loss, learning to love those around you. It's a pretty simple narrative, but done very well. And like I was saying earlier, even though it's a comedy, it doesn't let its comedic elements take away from the narrative or impede it in any way. It's a great movie, 8 out of 10.
Let's go!
Wow, all right.
I am so happy, man.
Dang, what a good pick.
My rating is based off. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't watch it on a TV. I didn't even watch it on my computer. This was a phone viewing for me.
Hey, sometimes it's the best viewing experience.
I had a headache at the time, and so I didn't laugh as much as I thought I was going to. I really mostly just watched it for the podcast. But in spite of that, I still thoroughly enjoyed my time. And I think my rating's only going to go up. But I don't think I'm ready to give it that 9 just yet. But I don't want to give it that 8. I am right in between those two, 8.5. I think it's just such a solid, well done, meaningful, adorable, heartwarming story about two dudes learning to be a family.
But the dinosaurs never showed up.
That's true. They should have. Oh yeah, for those of you who are listening and you just all have all these names like Heck and Ricky, Heck is what's his name from Jurassic Park?
Sam Neill.
Somebody, yeah.
Sam Neill. And Ricky is the young boy from Deadpool 2. So he's been in so many just heartwarming films. It's amazing. But yeah, I believe next we are finishing up. So doing part 2 of our Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power series.
Season 1 overview.
Season 1 overview.
Yep.
Yeah. So please be
Conclusion.
here for that, especially if you are the entire family to Mr. Warren. And please tell us how wrong we are or how right we are. So, and yeah, again, love talking with you guys. Carter, you want to sign us out?
Maybe we should we should create an email account so that we could have fan questions and stuff. Maybe we should do that at some point here.
Oh, that's true. All these directors I keep, like Jordan Peele's probably trying to reach out to us.
Yeah,
Taika's going to be reaching out to us now. Oh, Martin Scorsese. I didn't want to leave you out, man.
Of course.
If you're feeling it, would love to have you.
Yeah, we can get an email. We can also do like a Twitter or a Facebook or Instagram if we want to.
We'll get there eventually. Yep.
Eventually. All right, cool. But well, if that's it for you guys, thanks for listening, everyone. We are the Monkeys, and talking about movies is our business. And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.